afternoon. So I have a big challenge because I am the last guy speaking, and I'm sure you don't want one more speech. Unfortunately, you can't swipe this reel away. You have to watch it fully. So yeah, I think it's very difficult now in this generation to watch anything for more than 10 seconds, right? So I'll try my best to make it interesting. I also am going to give you the opportunity to ask me 3 questions. I'm going to speak for a while now, so I think firstly become comfortable that you can't swipe me away. Secondly, I'll give 3 questions. I'll give 3 of you students an opportunity to ask me any question. Happy to answer any questions. I have no problem, even if it's a silly question or a serious question, doesn't matter. Okay, so pay attention to what I'm going to say. I'll try to make it interesting. Dignitaries on dais, professors, HODs, staff, rank holders, university rank holders, graduates, welcome to your graduation ceremony. You are the chief guests here. So, firstly, let's cheer for that. So I think I was asked by Dr. Ganesan to share my learnings from my career and what made me successful. I was just thinking what would be the right way to articulate it. I feel that the right way to articulate it is how an ordinary life can also be successful. That's I think what I would say, because my life is not very different from any of your careers. So I think, I'm sure 20 years later, after you graduate, it's only a matter of time. Some of you will be standing here and facilitating graduation ceremonies of other kids. So over the next 15-20 minutes, I'll try to share my career journey, what I did, the decisions I took, how my learning education helped me, where it did not help me, and what did I have to do apart from education that had to that came in to support me in my journey. So I was not any topper in school or college. I did not go to IIT. I also went to a regular college, just like most of you. After college, I went and did a master's. The reason I did it was quite silly if I think about it now. I just did it because I got a financial aid and I could go to the US, and I felt like I was too young to work. So I said, why should I start working and going to an office from 9 to 5 so early in my life? Let me study for 2 more years. That was the primary objective with which I went to college for my master's. Then I came back to India. Again, not a very professional or serious reason why I came back to India. Obviously, my father had a business, so I always had a feeling that at some point of time I will, go and join my father in his business. But more than that, the primary objective to come back to India was, at that time, it was 2003 when I finished my masters, and it was still the aftermath of the September 11 blasts in the US. So the market was not great for jobs. I knew that I had to do a lot of unpaid or very less paid internships for 6 months, 9 months, even 12 months before I could get a full-time job. I had a girlfriend in my college, 3 years after, and I wanted to come back to India and make sure that I got married to her. And I didn't want to lose that opportunity. And then in the meantime she gets married to somebody else. So that was a very important reason to come back to India. So nothing special about my life so far. Okay. Then I came back, got married to the same girl, and then I suddenly decided that okay, I am just now too young to actually start running my business. I don't know anything, so maybe I should study some more. And then I actually went to ISB and got an MBA. This was a turning point because till that time my academics was all just mostly it just went with the flow, or I just went with the flow. But the MBA was a turning point because when I was in ISB, everybody around me was suddenly very serious. because it was a very expensive program at that time. Now I think there are hundreds of colleges which charge that much of fees, but at that time ISB was the only institution which was charging such a high fee. It was a 1-year program, so it was very intense. So we had 8 quarters of 10 weeks each, with just 1 or 2 days of break in between each quarter. So it was really intense. The course started in May and ended in April, with hardly any breaks in between. So it was just one intense course after the other. And in each 10-week term, we had to do, I think it was 6-week term, in each 6-week term, we had to do 4 courses. So like really, really busy. And out of the 430 odd people in my college, about 280 were from IITs. A really serious group. Everybody wanted to come in and say, I'll go to this company after MBA and I'll go to that company. So many of those companies I was hearing about for the first time when I was there. So that group really helped me to push myself and to discover that there was at least 2 more gears in my vehicle that I could move forward to. I was thinking that I was already performing well, but then I realized probably my life is only at 3rd gear now. I can actually go to 4th gear and 5th gear. After ISB, I got a chance to work at McKinsey. McKinsey, as some of you might know, is a global management consulting firm, and it has been in business for about 100 years now. It advises everybody from the President of the United States to the Chairman of the World Economic Forum to CEOs and startups and so on and so on. So working for McKinsey really opened my eyes, because I realized that what I thought was 5th gear was not even 2nd gear. There is still many more gears I can actually move myself into, right? And the environment was putting that pressure on me that okay, what you're doing is not enough. You can actually operate at even higher level. Then after a few years at McKinsey, then I felt I was confident enough now to actually come and run my business. So I came back to Chennai. My dad had built a small automotive components business which had grown to a reasonable size by that time, and I ran that business for 6 years. First day of that, it was very, in spite of the fact that I had worked for so long by that time, it was again confusing for me what I would do there, because I felt like I was just sitting in the seat and looking around, and I felt like everybody was doing their job, everything was happening. So what am I going to even do here was the first feeling I was getting. Then the head of that factory, the general manager of that factory, who had resigned and who was going to go away when I joined, I asked him, sir, everything seems to be going perfectly here. What do I even do? Like, how can I even start, getting myself involved in this business? So he said, well, you start asking questions, and everything else will follow. I said, what question will I ask? So you ask any question to somebody, but make sure that you keep asking the same question daily, and then within a few months, the whole business will be, revolving around you. So I just took it seriously, and I started asking, how many parts did we make yesterday? How many parts were we supposed to make? Why did we fall short? This was the only question I used to ask for the first 6 months. And soon I put a board behind my desk where for the top 5 or 6 parts that we used to make, we used to write this: name of the part, how many did we manufacture, how many were we supposed to manufacture, what is the gap. And whenever the gap was in red, which means shortfall, I used to ask why. And by just asking this one question, within 3-4 months, the entire company, I used to be able to understand everything in the company, because that's all you need, right? I mean, you need just a small opening to start getting familiar with something, and then once you are inquisitive, it just takes you continuously deeper and deeper into the problem statement. At about 6 years time, when I was getting closer to 40, I felt like this can go on forever, but I just don't think I will be able to make some very unique impact here, because this is a well settled business. There are other people like me who are also running this business. So what can I do uniquely? So I had a difficult conversation with my father. I told him that I don't want to run your business anymore. It was not an easy conversation, both for me and for him, because when you are working with your family, you also kind of mix business and relationship, right? So it's a little difficult. So I told him that there's nothing personal, but I think I have to build a business on my own. So after a few weeks of arguing about it, discussing about it, and finally accepting, I decided to go to Bangalore, because I felt like the world was changing. The world had already changed since 2010, when Flipkart came in, and then Ola came in, and then slowly a lot of other startups came in, and I felt like small companies with big ideas, with technology as the core, are going to change the world, and I wanted to be part of that. Yeah, I'll wait for you with the cap to finish your phone call. Done? Okay. I'll continue. Yeah. So I joined Ola, spent a couple of years at Ola. It was very interesting for me, because it was a very, very large company by the time I joined it. It was already doing 1 million taxi rides a day. So I'm sure all of you are users of cab apps, right? Like Uber and Ola. And I was given the job of turning around the profitability of that app, because when I joined, the company was doing a ride for 100 rupees, but giving 110 rupees to the driver, and also giving 10 rupees to the customer. So basically 120 rupees was spent to earn 100 rupees. And the founder of the company called me and said, we have built a large platform, we have built a new behavior, but now we have to make this profitable, which means you earn 100 rupees from the customer and you have to spend only 80 rupees overall. So which means we have to find a way to increase the earnings of the driver, so that we don't have to give them incentives every day. Similarly, we have to figure out how to change the pricing, and how to make customers pay and still not expect a discount on every ride. It was a great learning experience, and after 2 years doing that, I joined another fintech just before starting my own company, which was in lending. So I spent 2.5 years trying to figure out how to do something very traditional like gold lending digitally, without actually having any stores or without having any walk-in centers. It was very difficult in the beginning, but over time we learned how to do it, and we even built a very large team and large organization. We moved from about 3-4 cities to almost 50 cities by the time I left the company. So by the time I realized that okay, now it's enough working for others, experimenting, learning, and preparing myself. Now I should actually move from the baby pool to the real swimming pool. So I started my company last year. What we are trying to do is to make international payments for businesses simple. Today, international payments are done through bank transfers or through apps like PayPal, etc. Some of you might be aware of those names. There is a problem here, which is either the payment is costly or the payment is very slow. Now we want to solve both these problems, make it extremely inexpensive for a customer and also make it very fast and very convenient. So this is the pursuit we are engaged in. We are still very, very early in our journey. The way where I am in my startup is where probably this college must have been in the first year or second year, right, when they started. So it's early days for us, but we are having a great time. We have a small team of 26 people. In the 1 year since we launched, we have built a customer base of 800 businesses. We are still a few years away from becoming a big name, but we are enjoying ourselves working on this project. So this is my journey. What did I learn from this journey? I feel that it's okay to be not clear about what you're doing or what you want to do in the early part of your career. It's fine. I studied 6 years of mechanical engineering, including my bachelor's and master's, but I'm currently building a business in payments and financial services. So does that mean that my 6 years of engineering was not useful? That's not true, because everything that I do today is about problem solving. And as engineers, the greatest thing that you all have learned is actually problem solving. So every time you solve a problem, whether it is in computer science or electronics or mathematics, what you're doing is taking a simple objective, then breaking it down into steps, and then solving a problem using some facts, some assumptions, and an approach. And this is what life is. So I feel that engineers have a great advantage in terms of this problem solving toolkit being the core of your learning during the engineering program, and that has helped me immensely. The second thing I did was my MBA. Was my MBA useful? I definitely think it was, for two reasons. One and most important thing is the network. So the moment you say that you are an MBA from this particular college, then it is almost a visiting card by itself. So you meet other people who are also MBAs from that college. You have a network, you have seniors who have actually done it, and you can actually write to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I also graduated from the same college, I'm looking for a job, can we have a conversation? So the number one thing that an MBA helps you with is a network. And the second thing obviously is time management, because like I told you all, it was a very intense short course in which you had to do multiple things. So you automatically learn prioritization and say, I don't have to solve everything to 100%, I have to prioritize. So yeah, problem solving, prioritization are the things that I actually learned to apply in my real life, and I think those skills are very important. So it doesn't matter, some of you in this group might become engineers, some of you might go on to become managers, some of you might completely change fields and go into very unrelated fields like HR or filmmaking or whatever it is. But everywhere you go, you are going to definitely use the skills that you learned. And by the way, there is nothing called the skills that you learned, right? I mean, you will have to continue learning. It's just 4 years out of several years in your life that you're going to spend as adults. So most of the rest of the time, you don't have a degree, waiting for you at the end of it. You don't have somebody to give you an exam, but the learning is actually there. So that's constant. I think there are a lot of good points that everybody spoke about. Without going into the details, I think there were points on lifelong learning. Success is not something that is just academic, but it has to be all round. And I think Chairman made a few interesting points on being unreasonable and looking for excitement instead of looking for comfort. These are all great pieces of advice actually. And I just want to add one more thing to all of this, which is we have to have our eyes to the sky, but always feet on the ground. Right? What does that mean? Can somebody actually say what that means? Yeah. So, I mean, you can always say, I feel there are two types of people. One who says that, okay, this job is not for me, I cannot go and work in a factory, or I cannot be a service engineer, I cannot travel to, small towns, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. I am actually meant for greatness. That's good. But you also have to understand that, it has to start with a single step. You cannot just suddenly become great on day one. Everybody talks about great world leaders in business, etc. I want to talk about one excellent leader, global leader who studied in my college. So I studied in CIT in Coimbatore, and one of the most distinguished alumni of CIT Coimbatore is N. Chandrasekharan. Does anybody know who N. Chandrasekharan is? Sorry? Yeah, he is the chairman of Tata Sons now. He used to be CEO of TCS, and now he is actually the chairman of the entire Tata group. Again, his life was just an ordinary life. So, what I'm trying to say is, there is nothing to actually feel shy about being ordinary when you start, because a long career of ordinary stuff will actually give you extraordinary outcomes. Just like the career of the man, whose name this auditorium has, right? Nobody, even he himself, might not have imagined that he would become president of the country when he was just an engineer, working in some small room in one of the government offices. So, I think feet on the ground means that everybody's life is going to start at some starting point, and that starting point might be ordinary today. It doesn't matter, but if your eyes are to the sky, that means you know that you have a great mission in front of you, and your feet are firmly on the ground, which means that you are embracing the reality of today, and you're not worried about working hard, you're not worried about being ordinary for now. Then over time, this is actually going to result in extraordinary outcomes. There is nothing wrong in having a very simple job on day one. In fact, I would say the reverse, which is having a simple job on day one, which is very difficult, which is uncool, does not fit into the definition of a cool job. It's okay. I think it will give you a lot of learning, which is definitely going to build one on top of each other. There is a word called compounding in English, right? And I think you all should remember that compounding is the most important thing in life, more than skills, more than attitude, more than the starting position or the good luck that you have because of your family's wealth or your starting position. The only thing that really matters in life is compounding. Compounding means it's a small improvement done consistently over a long period of time. So a simple formula in math that all of you will remember is of the compound interest, which is A is equal to P into 1 plus R the whole power n. Okay, here the R doesn't matter. R is the rate of growth. The raised to the power n is what matters, which is the number of times you actually multiply it. So if you decide that you want to be 1% better version of yourself every month, but you just consistently do it for the next 20-25 years, then you can actually achieve something that today you cannot even imagine. So that's my advice, and I also want to end it with a couple of things. One is, some of you might be thinking, what's the big deal in graduation? Do we even need to go? It's will be boring. There'll be a few people on the stage talking some stuff, etc. But please remember, this is not for us. We are all just incidental here. The real thing is, even today, only about 8-9% of Indians are graduates. I'll let you think about this for a moment. 8 to 9% of Indians only are graduates. I am the first graduate in my family. My parents are not graduates. And I'm sure some of you here might be the first graduates in your family as well. There are not many families in this country where there is not even a single graduate so far. So we have to, if you think about engineers within that or MBAs within that, it won't even be 8%, it will be 0.8%. So you will be part of the 1% of India already now. Even at the beginning of your career, you are already part of the top 1% of India, because you are graduates, and the remaining engineering graduates or MBA graduates, and the remaining 99% is not. So please remember that it's something to be very proud of. And for that, we have 3 sets of people to thank and celebrate today. So I'm just going to end with naming those 3 sets of people, and we should all cheer for them. The first is all the educators who have educated you from your kindergarten till today. Right, from your school teacher, nursery teacher, your tuition teachers, your coaching teachers, your college teachers, somebody who wrote the guidebook that you actually referred to when you passed your exams. So let's actually give it for all those teachers who educated you. Second is your family. I think many of you might have come from comfortable backgrounds, many of you might have come from very simple backgrounds. Irrespective of whether your parents had money or not, it was a choice they made to actually invest that money in you. They could actually have put that money into a mutual fund also. Right? So let's celebrate your families next. Finally, give it up for yourself, because in this day and age, when there is non-stop distraction all around, there is so much of social pressure to be in a certain way, to conform to certain things, to instantly say something is cool or something is uncool, to instantly have an opinion on everything. This is a very, very high pressure time to live actually. And I'm happy that I'm not a teenager or a 20-year-old today, because it's very difficult to be a 20-year-old today. So, despite all of these complications and difficulties, you have actually, done well enough to come into, your graduation and be part of that 1% of India who is an engineering or an MBA graduate. So, give it up for yourself. Yeah, so all the very best, and that's pretty much what I wanted to say. If those 3 questions are there, I'm happy to answer them.
Ask questions, somebody else. No one is there?
Yeah.
What invest on other than food, clothes and shelter?
Other than?
Food, clothes and shelter. I mean the building activities.
Okay. So the question for those who can't hear is, what are the startup sectors apart from things that are around food or clothing or shelter?
Because kapde, roti and
Yeah.
house is the only startup.
Obviously, I think I'll be partial and say financial services because I am in that field, but obviously everybody needs money, right? So you need money for loans, you need money, you need an app for investing your money. I'm sure some of you might do stock trading and are familiar with apps like Zerodha and Grow and so on. And then you need loans to build your business, or you need loans to build your house, etc. So everybody needs money or some form of payment. So financial services definitely. Healthcare for sure, especially in India and especially in South India, because South India's population is rapidly aging. So in another 20 years, we'll soon have much higher proportion of older people than younger people in South India. So healthcare is going to be very important. And I think education will continue to be important, because I also feel that the way education is, today will undergo very dramatic changes over the next few years. Some of the courses of today will not exist tomorrow. Some new type of learning, new types of courses will come in, and I think small bite-sized lifelong learning will become a very important thing for most people, rather than just a 2-year postgraduate degree. So which means that universities and colleges have to adapt. Technology companies will come in to serve that. So education is another thing I truly think will be important.
Sir, give me some suggestions towards a startup. Like we need to take care of a lot of things also before we get to startup. So those things, like last few years you are facing a lot of up and downs and so many things are also. Based on your experience, suggest me some things before startup.
Okay. I'll rephrase that question as how to be ready to start up. Is that okay? See, I think you are never ready or you are always ready. I think it's only one of these 2 things. And it's the same as any other risky profession. Let's say somebody wants to quit a safe job and go become a stand-up comedian, or somebody wants to quit a safe job and go become a politician. Similarly, somebody wants to quit a safe job and go a startup. It's all the same thing. You are actually moving from something stable, steady, and like what chairman said, comfort or comfortable, to something that is unstable, risky, and but exciting. Obviously, it all depends on what age you start up. When you are young, I think there is no boundaries, right? You just need to have courage, little bit of, obviously you need to plan a little bit better. You need to think, who will I raise money from? Who will I start? Do I have somebody with complementary skills to me to be with me? Let's say if I am a software, I am very good at writing code. I also need a guy who is very good in business, so that together we will make a good team. So having a good team, knowing where to raise money, all of these things are important. Communication skills are very important. These are all intrinsic skills. But otherwise, is there something to say, okay, I need to have so much of bank balance before I start up? I think that doesn't matter when you're young. But when you're older, it matters. Like when I started, I was already, over 40. So I had to be sure that I have some money so that, my family is not suffering a reduction in the quality of their life just because I am starting up. So that's why I took those 3-4 years to work in other startups to financially secure myself and then start. But when you're young, I think it's just the courage to jump and it's the skills that you need. And skills, by skills I don't mean some technical skills, it's more people skills, ability to find a good partner or co-founder, ability to raise money, ability to communicate well with people. That's what is important. And when I say ability to communicate, it doesn't mean you need to have great English. That's not communication skill. Ability to communicate means that yes, expressing yourself clearly, understanding another person, and being able to create and deliver trust. Yes.
First of all, I just intro myself. I'm Praveen. I'm from mechanical department, and it's a pleasure to meet you. My question is, let's just assume that you are not a chief guest for this function. You are just a candidate from here. You have just passed it in 2022, and just without the business you have running now, the startup, how will you start your career from here as a 2022 J.N.N. graduate? What is the vision and how will you achieve?
I'll exactly do what I said, which is feet on the ground and eyes at the sky. So I will basically invest in a couple of things. First is I will just take whatever job I get, it doesn't matter what job, how much salary. I will just join the first company I get a job in, and try to do that very, very well for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, whatever time it takes for me to first understand what is a workplace, how to actually behave in an office environment. There are certain things that we don't even know when we are in college that we learn when we go at work, which is how to keep up time, how to respect deadlines, how to be in a meeting, how to deliver your commitments. Just basic professionalism. All of this is professionalism, not wearing a formal shirt and tie, right? Professionalism is actually about like what Rajinikanth says, saying what you do and doing what you say. So I think that's what I will hope to learn in the first year. But second thing I will do is read a lot. Just read a lot. It doesn't need to be books. It can also be digital media. But the only difference between consuming digital media just randomly as it comes to us versus reading is that if you have a news app, or if you have like an app like InShots, or if you have Instagram on your phone which keeps continuously giving you reels, or if you have like YouTube Shorts, etc. The problem with it is all of these actually, they tell you what to read. You are not using your judgment to decide what to read, right? They are just giving you something, you are just reading. Okay, if you don't like it, you scroll to the next one. If you don't like it, you scroll to the next one. But you are not deciding what you want to read. So that is not the reading I am talking about. The reading I am talking about is you decide what you want to read. For example, today if you know that there is some conflict going on in Europe, there is some conflict going on in the Middle East. You go online, you actually search for resources, you read about it. You don't just believe what somebody is saying in Twitter, because that somebody may be actually as ignorant about this topic as you or me. Right? And they may be actually paid to write certain things. So social media is great, it's also dangerous because it's giving you information that they want you to consume, not what you want to actually read. So these are the two things I will do. I will do conscious reading on my own, read books, read meaningful articles, myself go out and seek information. And second is, whatever job I get, work sincerely in it for 1 to 2 years minimum. So that as a combination of these two things, I am learning about the world. So my eyes are on the sky, but I am doing my job well between my feet are on the ground. Yeah, last question.
Yeah, sir. Myself, Shweta. So, really inspired by the way you have described your career. So, during this phase of your career, how you balanced your personal life and your professional life? Because nowadays we are facing the issues. Our generation becoming very tense to manage our personal life and professional life. Could you please share your experience in this?
Yeah, so most of this actually was done by my wife. She did a better job than me in managing our personal life. So actually most of the credit should go to her. But having said that, I think one thing that we should all do is, again, I'll pick up on something that the chairman said, which is, he said, your previous generation's life is over, you have to live your life. So I think that's what we should all do. We should live our life. I'm sure that, parents will have some expectations, society will have an expectation saying that, this is how you should be, this is the age at which you should get married, this is the time you should have children, this is the time you should buy a house, this is the time you should take an EMI, you should do this, you should do that, this is the way you should, maintain the family values or culture, etc. I think many of the time, what we consider as work-life balance pressure is actually society pressure on us to live in a certain way. I think we should just calmly think about what are the things from our past that we want to continue, and what are the things that we don't want to continue and we want to figure out some new way of doing it. And we have to do it that way. Like for example, if a family is deciding that like my close friend, so I started learning tennis after I turned 40. Like 2 years back I started learning tennis. The reason I started learning was because I was very inspired by my friend who said, I'm going to offer free tennis classes to everybody who wants to learn. And the reason he did that was because he had decided that because his wife's career was going very well, he wanted to become a stay-at-home dad because they had a young kid and they wanted one parent to be, taking it easy for a few years. So he decided to do that. His wife is continuing to, she's a partner in Deloitte, so she's doing very well. So that example, for example, is a great example because then you decide what is right for you as a family rather than just decide what society wants you to do. So I think that's what I would suggest for managing work life, which is it can all coexist. It can coexist, but you have to think of new ways of doing things, not just get stuck in old ways of doing things.
So one more question, like who is your role model?
I don't have any role model as an individual. I have actually, many inspirations. My first inspiration is my father, who without a college degree actually started a company from nothing and, is able to be, a successful business person, just like your chairman is. That's why probably they are all friends. I think that inspiration started from home, and my decision to become an entrepreneur was based on that. I have a lot of inspiration. I take a lot of inspiration from other business entrepreneurs. I take a lot of inspiration from world leaders in history. I read a lot of history. It's a favorite subject of mine. So I take inspiration from people in the distant past who also gone through similar challenges in their lifetime and achieved great things. So yeah, I mean, few characteristics from many people, but not one inspiring role model. Thank you. All right, thank you everyone. Thanks for the patience.